Welcome to DM News English, and you're watching the program Global Pakistan with Shakeel Ahmad. Today we have a very, very important guest in our studio, and he is the former leader of Labour Party, and currently he has founded a new party called Your Party. Jeremy Corbyn is with us. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much. Going a little bit back, looking back, many had problems with your leadership styles. And of course, the critics were there while you were serving for Labour Party. And of course, in 2019, under your leadership, Labour Party lost its elections as well. What would you say about this?
I would say that I was elected leader of the party in order to try and change the party and to develop more radical economic and social policies, and also a very different stance on international affairs. And we fought two general elections, 2017 and 2019. Okay. We got an enormous improvement in the Labour vote in 2017. And even in 2019, at the height of all of the Brexit issues, I still got a higher vote for the Labour Party than Keir Starmer got 4 years later when he became Prime Minister after that election campaign. We have a first past the post system, which means that the candidate with the largest vote is elected. It doesn't have to be a majority, and we obviously lost seats in 2019, and I stood down as leader after that. I have to say that the party's direction since then has changed dramatically, despite Keir Starmer's promise on being nominated as leader of the party that he would retain the policies on which the party had fought the previous two general elections. So we are now in a very different political situation in Britain, which I guess that's what you want to talk about.
All right, but you know, after 2019, now in recent elections, the Labour Party won, and of course they got a huge majority here in the UK. So after gaining majority, what were the things? What were the reasons and causes that that motivated you, or I would say that that really kept you apart from Labour Party then?
Well, I was suspended as a Labour Party member in 2020 after the publication of the Equality and Human Rights Commission report, in which I said the allegations of anti-Semitism were exaggerated, but that one anti-Semite anywhere in the party was one anti-Semite too many. I was eventually, well, quite quickly actually, reinstated into party membership, but suspended from membership of the Parliamentary Labour Party.
All right, so regarding this anti-Semitism, so...
well, can I finish the narrative first of all?
Sure.
And we were then I was then faced with the situation that I was a member of the Labour Party, but not allowed to be a member of the Parliamentary Caucus of the Labour Party. The new party leadership then used this as a method of preventing me from contesting the 2024 general election as a Labour candidate. And so I said that was unfair and my constituents should be able to decide the future. And I was nominated as an independent and elected as an independent.
All right. So like you have mentioned about anti-Semitism, so lots of critics, and you faced a huge critic on anti-Semitism within your party. So lots of Jewish labourers, they were not happy with you. So do you personally think responsible yourself that how it folded?
If I may say so, you're repeating what some of the media have said. You said lots of Jewish members very unhappy. A very large number
Yeah.
of Jewish members of the Labour Party strongly supported my leadership and strongly supported my position on Palestine, and still do. And indeed, I march with them whenever there's a Palestinian march on. And so please don't allow the story to run away that somehow or other every Jewish person supports Israel, and it's simply not the case. What I was trying to do was separate the question of the discussion of Zionism from the question of the need for all of us, me included, everybody, to oppose anti-Semitism with every fibre in our body. Anti-Semitism is racism, just like Islamophobia or any other form of racism.
Moving ahead, I totally agree with you, 100%. You know, when we talk about in majority, so that doesn't mean the 100% people are against your favor or against you. Moving ahead, you have been so sympathetic toward controversial groups like Hezbollah, Hamas. So, if we talk about
hang on,
these,
who says I've been sympathetic towards them?
Because it's a general perception. The public,
general
lots of media is lots of different media. They're talking about this, and overall, if you go on social media, if you go on media, so people talk about that. The thing that you have been
we can't run discussions on the basis of what some people say on social media and what media perceptions are of what people say on social media.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I think if you're going to say, I've supported X, Y, or Z, you need to come out with some evidence of that.
Of course.
What I would simply say is this.
No, my question...
I have always, and always will, support the Palestinian people. I will support the Palestinian people, and that is what I do. And that means that for the Palestinian people to go forward, that's what they're doing, you have to have negotiations that include all parties. And that is exactly what's happening. And indeed, Donald Trump himself sat down in proximity with Hamas themselves. That doesn't mean I approve of Hamas, it doesn't mean he does. It means there has to be talks with them.
How you see the British current, I would say currently the British government is responding to these global conflicts, like if we talk about Gaza or Ukraine. So what about your viewpoint? How the current government is responding to these conflicts?
I think the British government is responding very, very badly. In the case of the plight of the Palestinian people, Britain has pretty much always supported Israel and provided arms to Israel. And even as this conflict intensified from October 23 onwards, Britain supplied more and more weapons to Israel. Britain allowed the use of Royal Air Force bases to overfly Gaza and collect information, all of which was given to Israel. And Britain supplies 15% of the components of the F-35 jets, which have caused the genocidal bombing of Gaza. Many of us in Parliament and on the streets have strongly opposed this, and indeed we've had 32 national demonstrations. Those demonstrations have had an effect. They had an effect on the government cancelling a small number of the arms licenses, now claiming there's no further arms deliveries going on to Israel, but they haven't suspended security cooperation. I think Britain's role has been appalling. The International Court of Justice examined the issue and said there was evidence of acts of genocide taking place within Gaza. The British government tried to denounce and condemn the reports coming out from the ICJ, and only very reluctantly eventually agreed that if Netanyahu ever stepped foot in Britain, he would face arrest under the arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court. Britain's role has actually been quite disgraceful. And to begin with, in October 23, Keir Starmer himself, who was then leader of the opposition, said that withholding supplies and power and water to the people of Gaza was a legitimate act of self-defense by Israel. He knows full well that is a war crime.
All right. So, what will you say about the recognition of Palestine recently by UK government then?
That is a welcome step forward. It came after a great deal of pressure. Indeed, the British Parliament voted on a non-binding resolution more than a decade ago that we should recognise Palestine. That has now happened. What is very unclear by the recognition by Britain, France and others is exactly what they are recognising in Palestine. I take it to be the area of Palestine since 67, which is obviously goes back to the ceasefire line at the end of the 1948 war. But in recognising Palestine, that means they have to also oppose the occupation of Gaza and of the West Bank and the settlement policy, and also stop supplying arms to Israel, which is used to bomb the Palestinian people, which Britain, France, Canada and others have just recognised.
All right. So, keeping this discussion in mind, let's move ahead. You have reformed a new party called Your Party.
Your Party.
So, what inspired you to form this new party? And I'll also ask about how your party will reshape UK politics.
We formed the party because there was enormous pressure after the 2024 election when I was elected as an independent, and other colleagues were elected in Batley and Dewsbury, in Blackburn, in Leicester and in Birmingham, and elected to Parliament as independents. And their election was essentially mainly on the issue of Gaza ceasefire and support for the Palestinian people. My election was slightly more complicated because it related to the way I'd been treated by the Labour Party, but nevertheless Gaza was a big issue in the campaign here. And there is a huge thirst for there to be a political alternative to Labour, because the Labour government since July 24 has not made any steps whatsoever to redistribute wealth and power in our society, has maintained what's called a benefit cap on large families, which is very damaging to large families who get no benefit for the third, fourth or fifth child, depending on whatever the size of the family is. They've tried to take away state benefits from people receiving personal independence payments. And they have continued the marketisation in health and local government services. And so at every turn, instead of making a progressive step forward, they've stepped away. They've also legislated through something called the Infrastructure Bill to make life a lot easier for property speculators and property developers rather than tackling the social housing crisis.
Absolutely fine. Your party is your party, and of course your party is gaining popularity. Like we have seen recently in Birmingham, you had a great convention, and people turn up from different places. And also we have seen the Labour Party councillors, they have joined your party as well. So what in overall, because this month you're running a membership campaign as well.
Yes.
So what is the response of the people apart from Birmingham, from the other areas? So what in overall, what's the response, and how many other parties, councillors have joined your party?
Most of the independent councillors around the country are generally of the left, not all, but generally. Those groups, such as those in Birmingham, in Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle and other places, have all said they want to join or work with your party, and that is happening. We've held very large public rallies in many places, and I was in Birmingham, as you know, I was in Liverpool last week, I was in Manchester, and tomorrow I'm on the south coast in Hastings. There's rallies also tomorrow in the north, and also I held a number of rallies in Blackburn and Preston and other parts of the northwest. And so as a party we're having a huge attendance at big public rallies and events, and we're now moving into a consultation stage, where those that have already joined the party are being invited to come to discussion and consultation meetings to discuss the kind of party they want. There is documents going out which will talk about the aims of the party, the rough structure of the party, above all the democracy, the accountability and the grassroots organisation of the party. And those processes will take about months, and then at the end of November we have the founding convention of the party, which will be held in Liverpool. And so it is about deep community involvement of people, and those that are joining the party are a very broad cross-section of the demography of modern Britain, and I'm proud of that. We are the alternative to what Reform UK are doing. Reform UK, a very right-wing...
Talk about reforms as well.
Very right-wing racist force. And they have an appeal with their simplistic answer that all problems in Britain are caused by refugees and migrants. My answer is, without migration, we'd have no national health service, we'd have no transport system, we'd have no education system.
Exactly. If I ask in a nutshell, what 4 bullets you will try to explain for our viewers that why they should vote your party in coming elections?
Because we are determined to tackle the housing crisis and build the necessary council housing to provide housing for people in desperate need. Secondly, we will not allow the selling off and privatisation of public services.
Okay.
Thirdly, we are very serious about the environmental crisis that we all face, and that has to be tackled by a combination of public ownership of crucial issues like water, but also transferring industries onto green energy. And you asked for 4. The 4th, on the global stage, we will not be the party for war. We will not be the party of opposition to the Palestinian people. We'll be the party for peace and reduction in the arms trade, and instead investment in the desperate social needs of people and for fair trade with the southern countries in the world.
All right. As you mentioned earlier about Reform UK, so the Nigel Farage is one of the leader thinks that immigration is the biggest problem in the country. Do you think the immigrants are the only problem? How would you respond against his policies? Like you said, the reform, of course, obviously, lots of different people, and there is a popularity of reform according to the media reports recently we have received. So there is popularity, but how you think, because he is mentioning about immigrants a lot, more than anything else. So do you think the immigration is the only problem, or the ILR is the only problem for the country?
Immigrants to Britain did not bring about social injustice, did not cause homelessness, did not privatise our health service, did not sell off our state-owned industries. The migrants come to this country mainly since the Second World War, but some older communities than that. They are the ones that built our National Health Service, that built our railways, that built our roads, that run our education service, that work in every industry. Without migrant labour, this country would not be able to function. Farage actually knows that. He fully understands that. But he chooses instead to go to a community where they have problems. Underfunding of school, problems of health and so on. And he said it's all the fault of migrants. It's complete and utter nonsense. He knows it. And actually, every journalist that parrots what Farage says knows it. Farage has to be challenged. And that is what we will do. The Labour Party, unfortunately, tends to lean in towards Farage, as do the Conservatives, as do the Liberal Democrats, by saying there's a big problem about migration. Some of it is cruel, the way they behave. For example, postgraduate students coming to Britain to study and research here. They benefit, yes, themselves, but they benefit us as well, because they're doing good research in medicine, engineering, and lots of things. Not allowed to bring their families here. What are they going to do? They will either come and suffer for several years without seeing their children or their partners, or they'll go somewhere else. And so it will actually be damaging to the higher education system in Britain and damaging to the industrial base of this country. It's short-sighted nonsense that they talk.
Exactly. And for instance, if we talk about if Nigel Farage comes into the government, so he talks a lot about immigration, like we said, we discussed now. So you think when he comes into the power, so if he, I mean, like he is so strict about immigration at the moment, so you think, I mean, taking all these immigrants out of the country, will he run the country in a better way?
No. Nigel Farage also knows that should he have an accident, and he once had a very serious accident in a helicopter, he nearly died, he'll be rushed, like you, like me, like anybody else, in an ambulance to a hospital. When we get to that hospital, you might well be treated by an Indian doctor, a German nurse, and a Colombian anaesthetist.
Exactly.
Or
multicultural,
it's going to be multicultural.
Yeah, of course.
And they are going to treat us all absolutely equally and with great professional judgment.
Exactly.
Farage knows that, and he knows that if he follows through on his nonsensical policies of deporting massive numbers of people, who's going to run the health service? And if his elderly relatives are in need of care and living in a care facility, he knows full well that it's quite likely they've been looked after people from the Philippines.
Exactly.
So he knows this, and the media all know this, but they choose to run this whole story. And so we have to bring people together to fight together for better services, for a more just and equal society. And that's what your party is doing and will always do.
Well, one thing I will add about Nigel at this moment.
Nigel, call him Farage.
All right. He is not 100% against the immigrants. He is talking about the illegal immigrations. So don't you think illegal immigration, of course, that's bad for the country?
Well, he's talking about illegal refugees and asylum seekers, and he deliberately obfuscates on the fact it is an international right to seek asylum. It's there in the conventions, post-war conventions. And if he's talking about illegal immigration, well, people that have arrived here on a small boat from Calais, for example, as a number have, they then apply, they're put normally in quite difficult circumstances while they wait for a decision to be made. Many of them eventually, not all, eventually get a decision they can stay. And you know what? They become our neighbours, they become our teachers, and they become our friends. They are people, I've been to Calais to talk to them. These are people that worked for the British government in Afghanistan, worked for the British Army in Afghanistan. And when Afghanistan fell, if you like, and the West disappeared, they then had to go somewhere to get to a place of safety. They were abandoned by Britain and all the other countries involved in the Afghan war. So some, not many, managed to get all the way to France to try and come to this country. Are they enemies? No. They're people trying to survive and make their contribution in the world.
Can't be like
you
this.
You and I, under different circumstances, could equally be refugees looking for somewhere safe to go.
Exactly. Current controversy. We'll talk about this one. And on media reports and lots of different people just talking about in overall in society about Tommy Robinson. That he is being funded by Elon Musk. So, do you think, being a politician, do you think Tommy Robinson, definitely it's obvious that he's connection with Elon Musk, but is there, what about your
Robinson is a construction of the media to a great extent, and he's not really called Tommy Robinson. His name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon.
Yeah.
But it's not quite the same as saying follow Stephen Yaxley Lennon. So he uses the name Tommy Robinson because it sounds quintessentially English, and essentially blames Islam and migration and multiculturalism and the European Convention on Human Rights and the European Court of Human Rights for all our problems. And he goes into communities that have lost industries, lost jobs, lost their whole centre of activity, and says the whole problem you've got is Muslims or whatever. It's utter nonsense, and it has a kind of appeal. And so I think he has to be confronted. He, in a sense, pretends not to get on with Farage, and Farage pretends not to get on with him. They need each other. Farage is the respectable face, Robinson is the disrespectful face of it, but he's trying to mobilise people on the streets. But you know what? Every action has a reaction, and this has actually encouraged thousands and thousands of dedicated anti-racists who want to live in a multicultural society, to demonstrate in support of the refugees and against Robinson and his groupings. And you know what? Our party is going to be with those campaigning for a decent, fair, just, inclusive society where we don't tolerate Islamophobia, anti-Semitism or any other form of racism.
Excellent. Last question. What would you say, what's your message for your voters, supporters from your party, as a founder of your party, please?
I'm very proud to present our party message of inclusivity, of improvement in social justice within our society, and real opportunities for young people not to grow up in an over-competitive education system, but all be treated equally so they can make the best of themselves in their lives. Our party brings people together, brings hope together, and we'll be a contribution to the movement for peace around the world. Your party, our party. Come and join us.
Jeremy, thank you very much for your time, and really very best wishes for your party and being a founder of your party as well. See you next time.